This is the all-new 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. Today we're taking it on an overland adventure. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. Good morning from just outside Ellensburg, Washington. This is my own personal 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. Based on the all-new 6th generation Ford Ranger, this is the first Ranger Raptor ever offered in North America. I actually just picked mine up a couple weeks ago and I've already driven more than 2,000 miles with it. Today's adventure is going to take us from here, just outside of Ellensburg, Washington, up to the University of Washington Observatory on the Ridge. Along the way, we'll encounter rocks, mud, and some steep climbs. Under the hood of this truck is a twin turbocharged 3-liter V6. This produces a peak 405 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. It's connected to an advanced 4-wheel drive system with an on-demand 2-speed transfer case and a 10-speed automatic transmission. It also comes standard with recovery hooks all around and locking differentials in both the front and the rear. Tires are 33-inch BFG KO3s, wrapped around 17-inch alloys. The camera system provides nice trail views. The shocks are 2.5-inch Fox live valve internal bypass units on all corners. Up front are coilovers, the back gets piggyback reservoirs. You can also use various drive modes to adjust shock performance on and off-road. In the back there's a Watts link to help keep the wheels planted. With all those details out of the way, it's time to get this adventure started. What we're doing today is basically a mini overland adventure. I have not aired down my tires yet. I'll probably do that a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and start in off-road mode. So once I set off-road mode, it loosens up the steering wheel, puts it into off-road mode. It softens up the suspension for all the rocks I'm going to go over, and then it also locks the rear diff. However, I don't really need the rear diff locked, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And let's roll out. So a lot of the first part of this trail is going to be very rocky. I could just stay on the road, but I see a little climb, so I'm going to go up it. I mean, this is nothing for this truck, but let's have some fun, right? Now here's where I can turn on the cameras because I'm not really sure where this road goes. So I hit the button there, now I get a front view, and down we go. Oh yeah, love it. One of the greatest things about this truck is really the suspension. Not only is it responsive to the way that I'm driving, but you can set it up so that it really just soaks up what is a very aggressively rocky road. I mean, this is super rough. Now, for example, I'm going to go ahead and put the shocks back into sport mode, which is the extreme stiffness. And now I can like barely talk. But now I'm going to switch it back into off-road mode. There's the shocks, put that into off-road. Okay, and it smooths it out a little bit. Now, it's not going to be like, rolling on clouds here because obviously very large rocks, very rough surface. It can only do so much. But when you're talking miles and miles of this stuff, it makes a huge improvement in comfort and the ability to just keep on going. Right now, I am keeping this truck with the standard PSIs. I think I might air down though, because that'll help soften the ride a little bit. We're currently at about 50 on these BFG KO3s. So I want to find a place to pull off here and air them down because it's a bit brutal. Here we go. Oof. Okay, let's air these down. So the tires on all four corners are running at 35 PSI, which is what I set them at when I was doing that trip over to Montana. I just never put them back to 50 because I think 50 is a little high for these tires. So what I'm going to do is air them down. I am using these little Ston tire deflators. Not cheap, but really good quality. And these will air down to 18 PSI. I don't really want to go that low, so I'm just going to put them on and watch the inside the cab to see where the pressure goes down to. I probably want to get to around 25 or something like that. But these air down very quickly, so I don't have to stand here and wait. I really love how the Raptor here gives me real-time PSIs on all four corners in the center dash. Now I could set these little guys to be the exact PSI that I want, but really they're all set for 18 and I like that. Okay, so all four corners are now at about 23, 24, which should be just enough to take the edge off some of these rocks. Look at that squidgy. Okay, so we're now all set. All corners are showing around 23, 24 PSI. Oh yeah, way better. So much nicer. I kind of love the settings on this thing. I mean, the ability to just configure the entire vehicle with a turn of a knob is really nice. I mean, that's something you just don't see on, like, you know, the Gladiator Mojave. It just has a off-road plus button. That's it. Also, that doesn't have like adaptive suspension or anything that really helps with conditions like this. Also, I can turn it not just for off-road mode, but we can go into full Baja mode. So let's do that. And that will actually soften up the suspension, make the exhaust as loud as possible, and optimize this for really crazy conditions. It basically turns it into a Baja truck. Oh, yeah! This is amazing. Whoop! I mean, it will stiffen up for jumps, but let's not rip our nose off, right? Woohoo! Oh, these ruts are crazy. Let's kind of get around these ruts. Boom! You know, I keep bracing for that suspension impact, and it just doesn't come because this truck is so good. Do I love this truck? Yeah, I kind of do. Woohoo! Oh man, these ruts. Okay, I don't want to scrape my undersides too hard here. We do get more than 10 inches of ground clearance, which is good, but I get the feeling some of these are like Jeep clearance. You know, Jeeps on 37s. Let's see, boom. Oh, this feels so good. I mean, I've driven down here on an electric motorcycle. I've driven out here on a TRD Pro. Been out here on a Nissan Pro 4X. Nothing performs like this. When we get the new Tacoma TRD Pro, we're definitely bringing it out here. See how it performs. Yes! Oh. I keep bracing. My body is tensing as I'm going over these rises, and it's nothing. It's like magic. So you can see that this truck, it's just like, it turns into a different animal with a twist of the wrist, and that is really impressive. And not just that it says, oh yes, we've, you know, made your truck a little bit more comfortable. You know, it makes it more capable. I love this truck. Now I am a little concerned about punctures. I mean, these are KO3s from BFG, but they're not the E-load, so they don't have the extra plies, and these are some pretty sharp rocks that I'm on. But if we do get a puncture, we do have at least one full-size spare mounted under the bed. I think the biggest thing for me is just learning to trust the truck. It can do more than I am comfortable with right now, but I just gotta trust it. The truck can handle it. The suspension can handle it. The motor can handle it, and I love this motor. Woo-hoo. One really cool party trick is that it'll actually anticipate a jump and firm up the suspension so you don't bottom out on the landing. Again, magic. Man, this is fun, but soon this road is going to turn into more of a hill climb, and we'll check out some of the other personalities that this Raptor has. Of course, Baja is just one personality of this truck. We have many others as well. And this hill climb is a great opportunity, I think, to test one of the other modes. Now, I believe this actually gets pretty steep as we go up, so I'm going to go ahead and switch it into one of the more advanced off-road modes. We're going to go over to rock crawl. Now, that does request me to put it into neutral, shift and progress. Okay, now we're in 4 low. That'll make it a little easier for me to crawl up this hill because I've gone into my low gear set. And oh, one is such a crawl on this truck. It is great. It's like, what is it? It's like 68-1, I think. That is just like the only thing better than this truck is a Jeep Rubicon in terms of crawl ratios. So we're just going to slowly crawl up. Not only does it slow the throttle response by making the vehicle just move a lot slower, it also locks the rear diff and, of course, modifies suspension accordingly. We can just slowly work our way up. Now, yeah, I could bomb up this a little bit quicker. This ridge is pretty high, and this truck does have 10 inches of ground clearance, but I think that ridge in spots might be a little bit bigger than that. So I'm just gonna keep on rolling here. I love having this front camera. It makes it really useful, and I can actually toggle between other views here. Let's go to that view so I can see front and sides. We're gonna go up and over. Here for clearance issues with those sideboards, no issue. Just keep on going. And now it's gonna get even steeper, but how steep is it gonna be? Let's turn on our off-road mode. And let's wait for Nick to catch up with the gimbal because he is slowing down. So Nick is walking a lot because he crashed the drone earlier, so he's now the human drone. So whether or not you like the fact that this truck has front and rear lockers enabled and disabled through software, the fact is this actual off-road display is pretty functional because it shows me my tire pressures, my locker status, and a front view all together. It's very nice. Now for this section, I'm actually going to use the trail control setting. So what I do is I use the set button over here, which is also the adaptive cruise control. I've set the speed to 1 mile per hour, which is what it sets at the lowest. And we're just going to crawl on up. Now, this is good if you want to get through something complicated, you want to focus just on the steering, just focus on your line. This is a good option to do that. It's similar to Toyota's crawl control, though I do find crawl control from Toyota to be the more superior setup because it does a better job of shifting that power side to side. However, this has lockers in the front and the rear, so that becomes less of an issue. So I am just letting the truck do the walking. I'm just going really slow so we can stress the system here. See if we get any tire spin at all. None. We're reaching down with enough articulation to touch the ground at all points. And this is really nice. Now the thing that you'll notice about this truck is that, yeah, it has a Baja mode, so it's like a proper off-road sport truck, but it has a lot of really good rock crawling style stuff as well. So it kind of makes it more competitive with the Rubicon from Jeep, like the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon, as opposed to the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. Doesn't really compete in that space because it doesn't have a front locker. And away it goes. Just do that. I'm doing nothing here. No foot on any pedals, just steering to make sure we don't run into stuff. Nice setup. Okay, let's keep this party moving. And I'm actually going to switch it back into off-road mode at this point because we're going to be doing slower trails at this point, but I don't really need like the full Baja setup. Okay, so here we have some trenches, but I didn't quite come up on the approach correct, but I'm going to go ahead and just drive over them anyway. So you can see on the camera here, I'm going to step down a little bit. Boop. Oh. Now I'm just in 4 high here, so I don't have a lot of low range going on. It's normal. It's not a great crawl ratio right now. But look at that ground clearance there, working out. And of course I do have lots of underbody protection. If I happen to scrape, it's probably not going to be a big deal. Even though this truck does have a lot of capability packed into it, in real difficult rock crawling situations, the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon is still going to be the better choice. And it strictly comes down to articulation because the Rubicon has solid axles front and back, so it has a lot more articulation than this truck does, which has independent suspension up front and a Watts link in the back. But honestly, I personally prefer the flexibility of a truck like this because I'm not always driving over rocks. Very often, I just want to drive around town and not feel like I'm steering the Nimitz, you know? That's a battleship for you kids, aircraft carrier. And we got some tree roots here, so let's kind of walk on over those. Okay, and onward. Right up here we have a little bit of a rock climb, so it gives us the opportunity to test out another feature of this truck, front locker. So I'm going to approach here, I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to put the vehicle into rock crawl mode. And the reason why I am actually going to engage the front locker before I even know if I need it is I don't want to tear up the tires on these sharp rocks. Having the locker on will minimize tire spin because it locks the axle together so they work as one. Now I'm going to engage that front locker and away we go. This should pull us up without any issue. And I'm going to do the hard line to the right on top of these rocks. And I'm going to go super slow so we don't get a puncture. I'm at an 18-degree climb right now, using the camera to kind of take a look at what we got going on here. I can also change my views, which is cool. Up we go, and it's so effortless with the front locker. I love this. And I can't see anything over the rise, but I have the camera, so I can look over my hood that way. Or through my hood, actually. And there we go. Making it look easy is kind of what you want, right? And that was definitely easy. Now I disengage that front locker so I can turn properly, and we'll carry on. We're almost at the observatory, which is so cool. Continuing on in 4 low, I think we're going to go downhill here, if I recall correctly. Oh yeah. So good opportunity to show hill descent control in action. Now I can drive down this no problem, but here to demonstrate features. So I'm currently tilted at 10 degrees negative, and I'm going to go ahead and enable the trail control system. Not only does it manage throttle for crawling through difficult stuff, it'll also manage brakes like we have here. And I can pick the speed that I'm rolling in half-mile-per-hour increments on the left. Go a little slower here. Got lots of big rocks here that I got to watch out for, and it is doing great. And that way I can focus on the camera and focus on where my line is. Watch out for those big boulders on the left. I mean, it's a big boulder the size of a small boulder, if you know what I mean. And hey, there's the observatory in the distance. Nice. Okay, and then of course I can add throttle to trail control anytime if I want it to go faster, but in this case I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off. Drive out normal. Cool. Almost there, and we've been through all the features. This is working out really well. Ugh. forgot 4-low. It's pretty brutal. Let's switch out of 4-low. I'm going to go back into off-road mode because I just don't need to be there. I'm going to move a little quicker now. Now, this is a really cool little observatory. It was built in 1972, and it's used by undergraduate students at the University of Washington. It has a 30-inch telescope to observe space. Now, funding almost dried up on this telescope years ago, but somehow funding was found, so yay for that. So it's still in use today. And in fact, it has its own water supply, so students can actually stay up here for like days at a time to continue with their observations. Naturally, this site was selected because it is relatively dark way out here. We don't have the pollution from the cities. Ellensburg's a fairly small city, so it doesn't cause a problem. The telescope is not open to the public, though. I want to point that out. However, it does have webcams, so let's see if we show up on their webcam. So this was really fun. I hope you enjoyed the drive in my new 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. Yes, this is, of course, a truck that I actually bought myself, and I feel very good about that purchase now because it's so flexible and it's so fun, and actually at the price of just over $57,000, it's actually relatively affordable considering the fact that the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro is now priced at $65,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. Make them for you. Hope you enjoy them. I'm definitely going to enjoy this view. That's amazing. It's not bad.